Welcome back into another episode of the Huskers Radio Network podcast and another episode of our newcomer series as we introduce you to the new Huskers on campus this summer. And we're back to Husker volleyball and one of the transfers that have been added to the roster going into this season, Taylor Landfair, a familiar name for Husker fans. You've been an opponent for the past couple of years with Minnesota, but you are now a Husker. You've been in Lincoln. I know it's been a busy summer for you, but how are you settling in?
I think it's been good, a really smooth transition, so I'm very happy to be here.
You've been traveling, you graduated, you traveled with Team USA, you were with Lexi and Merritt there. How has overall the summer been? A whirlwind? Have you been able to relax at all?
I really have, especially since I got back from the Dominican, just being able to hang out with teammates, just living life, just doing a bunch of different fun activities outside of volleyball, so it's been nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, how have you liked Lincoln? I mean, you've been here, you've played here before, but actually living here, how have you liked it?
I do like it. It's very much a hometown kind of feel, very small town, and I really like that compared to Minneapolis, because Minneapolis was so big, so I feel like it's very nice. Just I know where everything is almost now since I've been here for a little bit of time, so navigating things here is a little bit easier.
That's awesome. Well, let's take me back to your decision when you decided to transfer, and I know Nebraska was in your final coming out of high school, but when you make that decision to go into the transfer portal, what you were looking for and why it ended up being Nebraska?
I think I was just looking for a different environment just for my last 2 years, because I have been at Minnesota for the past 4 years, so I just kind of wanted a different experience for my last two, and I think just a new team environment, new coaching environment, just different kind of things, so I can just see different variations, if that makes sense. So I think Nebraska is definitely exactly what I was looking for. They checked all my boxes, and they just made the process super easy. Like, they gave me as much time as I needed. There was no rush, no like fine lines that made me have to make my decision super fast. So I really appreciated how patient they were with me.
So give us a perspective. What is it like when you come into Devaney and you're playing against the Huskers?
It's a very loud and overwhelming almost environment, just because all you see is red everywhere you look. Even if I do see my parents section, it's still like completely surrounded by red. So it's a very it's not intimidating per se, but it's also just, I would say, overwhelming. But I also really like playing in that kind of environment just because I feel like it's super high pressure, super high level. And I mean, I know that they're rooting technically against us, but at the same time, I feel like everybody's here just to watch some good volleyball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a couple different times you've referenced, you know, the wanting to be in a competitive environment and being pushed. What wires you that way, where you want to be in that where it's not easy and you could go somewhere where it's guaranteed, but where you come in and you want to compete? What wires you that way?
I think when I played in club, I was very much wired that way, and I feel like I was always in a competitive environment because I played at Sports Performance, so it was always just high competition, high level, surrounded by a bunch of high-level athletes, and so I just really wanted to make sure that I put myself into that same position because I feel like I thrive the best in a situation and an environment like that.
Oh, that's great. So where, you know, before that, I guess that competitive fire, did you have that before that club, or have you always been that way? Like, did you grow up that way? Was there something that sparked that?
When I was young, up until about 5th grade, I was super competitive, just like a very competitive little kid, always wanted to be the first to do everything, but I kind of feel like that mellowed out a little bit once I hit 6th grade, and I kind of brought that fire back into me when I hit about 9th grade, when I started playing at Spry, like for real on the 18s team, and just being around a bunch of older girls that kind of pushed me to be the best that I could be at such a high level in such a big club environment and everything. So I feel like that definitely triggered back my spark from being like wanting to be number one, wanting to be the best in the gym, first one in, last one out type of mentality.
So you played with Lexi Rodriguez back in the day.
Yeah.
What was that like being her teammate back then? Was she as impressive then as she is now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I love playing with her. She was always smiles, always laughs on the court, and so I feel like she gave such a really big energy on the team, and I really missed that when I didn't get to play with her after our 14th year. So I've always been thinking about her, and especially whenever we play each other, I was like, oh, I wish I could play with Lexi again. It'd be so cool if I got to play with her. So now I actually get the opportunity to play with her for one more year, and I just couldn't be happier.
Can you just describe, you know, her ability and what that does for a team when you have somebody like Lexi Rodriguez?
I think her energy and her leadership style is so unique, especially for a bro, because, I mean, she's not the one touching the ball every single point or something like that, or like the one getting the big kills or the big blocks, but I still think that her defense and her serve receive is just out of this world, and she's obviously the best live in the country. So just being able to be back there with her, her communication style is super high level, and I feel like she's very mellow and very calm when she's out there, so it just makes it super easy to pass next to her, play defense with her, and she's always cheering everybody on. Like, it's just unreal how an amazing teammate she is, but also an amazing player and a person, and it also comes on the court. So I just cannot wait to play with her this season.
Oh, I love that. What were the conversations like when you did circle back and think about, okay, I might play with Lexi again? What kind of conversations did you have with her potentially before you decided to transfer?
So I wanted to just kind of understand the coaching style of what Nebraska volleyball is and just the whole environment outside of Nebraska volleyball. And then just kind of get an understanding of if I would fit in such an environment like this, like one being super high level and competitive, but also would this fit my personality style, kind of my leadership style, my play style? And I feel like she answered all my questions perfectly, completely honestly, and I feel like I very much so fit in that type of environment.
And I think one of the things you said was that they're going to push you hard, and they don't sugarcoat things, and they don't make you promises.
Right.
And I think you said, I'm a very blunt person, so that's what I want. And I asked you earlier, what wires you to compete? What wires you to want to be coached that way? Because not every athlete does.
I think personally, I have not hit my peak yet, and I'm honestly nowhere near where my peak could be at. So I definitely want a bunch of feedback and a lot of coaching. A lot of coaches, I feel like sometimes don't give the best feedback in my personal opinion. But I feel like here they give the best feedback possible because, I mean, obviously Nebraska is what they are in volleyball. So I'm just really excited to get the feedback from both Jordan, coach, and then also Jalen, just because they've been in the business for so long, and I think they have so much information to give back to me, and I'm just excited to kind of see where my potential can go because I don't think that I've tapped into that quite yet, but I really am excited to be able to.
Oh, absolutely. So there's also a video that was done on you with the Big Ten Network about just when you had the serious injury and you had to sit out and you learned a lot about yourself off the court and who you were as a person, which translated on the court. What was that you found out, that you discovered, that ended up making you a better volleyball player?
I think it's just the trust that I have within myself and understanding that every single year is not going to be my best year, and there may be years where I kind of just need to take a chill pill for a sec and just kind of think about what I want to do for the next few years of my volleyball career while I'm in college. And I think that it also helped me just become a really good teammate and just kind of show what my leadership style could be while not being a main player or being a starter. And so I think learning that can also help me now, just because I feel like I want to be in a really good leadership position here since I am new, and I feel like I'm one of the I'm one of the older ones on the team. So just being able to bring my knowledge and wisdom and everything like that I've learned so far in my past 4 years at Minnesota to this new team now.
Very cool. What was it like playing for Team USA? What was that experience like, and getting to do it with Lexi and Merritt?
It was a really cool experience because I feel like I really haven't been able to play with Lexi for a very long time yet. So just being able to be with her and then also get to play with Murby a little bit, it's just been really, really nice. I really like being able to travel overseas with them and then just like overcome a bunch of different obstacles that we had to figure out while we were in the Dominican. So it was a really good experience. I'm very grateful that I got to be a part of the Team USA.
Playing on that kind of level, I'm sure opened your eyes too about some of those areas of growth you spoke about and wanting to tap into. What are some of those areas that you want to improve on, that you want to get better in while you're wearing the Nebraska uniform?
I think all aspects of the game, especially when it comes to hitting, just being super dynamic, just taking whatever set I'm given and then being able to still execute and dominate with that swing. And then also serve receive, just making sure that it's very consistent, because I feel like I'm a pretty okay passer, I guess. I don't want to like do my own harm, but at the same time, I still want to get a lot better at passing, and then also defense, just being able to use my length back there and the different reads that I need to make, and just making sure that I'm kind of in the correct spots based on what I see.
So you've gotten to know Merritt and Lexi, but the setter, Bergen, how have you been able to develop that relationship? Such an important relationship there between hitter and setter. So how has that gone, getting to know her and work with her?
I think it's been really good so far. I'm excited to kind of get back in the gym with the coaches and everything, just so we can kind of dial that back in together and just kind of running the back row, running the front row, different routes, different things like that. So I'm excited. She's definitely one of the best setters in the whole country, honestly. So I'm excited to be able to play with her.
Being that you've been in the Big Ten, you've experienced, was that something that you wanted to stay in the Big Ten, just being the kind of volleyball conference that it is?
Yes, Big Ten is definitely the best conference in my personal opinion. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I found another school that I love to be able to play in the Big.
For, just being that you have that kind of knowledge and experience and you've been the best player in the conference, what does it take to be at the best in this conference?
I think it takes a level of engagement that you always have to be locked in to every single point, and making sure that you don't take points off just because it can come down to being like a 26-24 type of game. So just tuning out of the game for just a split second may cause a little bit of chaos on your side of the court. So I just think that just making sure that you're always locked in, and then also understanding that 1 point is 1 point, and you can't just say, okay, well, we lost just 1 point and make it feel like we lost 5 points. So I just feel like it's just one at a time, one at a time. It's just a grind all the way to the end. You really can't say, oh, this team is this way. We have certain expectations of how they're going to play, so we think that we're going to beat them. But honestly, every single team in the Big Ten is really, really good. So you have to make sure that you respect your opponent at all times.
Great perspective there. So coming out of high school, you were the #1 recruit in the nation. Then you go on and you're the Big Ten Conference Player of the Year. Now you're coming to a team with Nebraska that played in the national championship. There's a lot of expectations. You've had a lot of expectations that you've dealt with. So I always kind of like to ask the athletes that come in, for maybe some younger athletes that might watch this or look up to you, how do you go about balancing those expectations and people watching your every move and expecting so much out of you in every single move?
I try and not look too much at like the online side of things, just because I feel like it can be pretty brutal sometimes. But I definitely make sure that I talk to my teammates about different things that I'm experiencing, or my mom or my dad, or like somebody else outside of volleyball. So just making sure that I don't think too much of the outside world and really just focus on my team, just because we're here together and we're trying to get to this top goal at the end of the season. And there's really no point of looking at outside perspectives because I don't really know what it took to kind of get to where we are. But I also think just breathing. I try and take a lot of big, deep breaths and make sure that I'm staying in the moment, because with so many different expectations and so many different things going on, my brain can kind of get fogged sometimes with how many things I have to do. I have to manage school, volleyball, practice, lift, like all these different kind of things. So just making sure that I take time to just breathe, relax, and just take some time for also personal time. If I want to listen to music, or if I want to read a book, or if I want to watch a movie, just making sure that I'm giving myself a good balance.
I love that.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
Great advice there. What's your favorite? What's your music? What's your go-to music?
I love just very chill, kind of mellow music. More of just like, I don't know, just very smooth, not too loud, not too soft. Just kind of like right in the middle.
Yeah. Is that the same for like pregame music?
No, I like hype music. Like pump up, go crazy, like early Y2K, that kind of stuff. Like a little bit of rap in there. Yeah.
Seems like you're very close with your family.
Yes.
You mentioned them a couple times. I know you post a lot of photos of them. Tell us about your family and how important they are for you.
They're my rocks, honestly. Like, they're definitely my go-tos. Like, if anything happened, I'm going back out to Chicago ASAP, just because I care about them so much. And my youngest little brother, Tayden, he's 9, and we call each other our best friends. So he's definitely like my ride or die for real. And the same thing with Junior and Alexa. Just whenever I get to go home, I always cherish that time, because I don't always get to go home during season and everything. But I just think that my family is my #1 support system. They love me so much. I love them so much. They try to come to as many games as they can, and I feel like they've been with me, obviously, from day one up until now, and I've been with them through day one up until now, and I don't think that that bond will ever be broken. So I cherish them so much. I love them.
Yeah. Are they excited to be Huskers?
I think so, yeah. My mom's already got the T-shirts going, and my dad, he's like, oh, look at the new sweatshirt I just got for his birthday recently in March. So, yeah, they're ready to go, ready to wear red.
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
So you talked about going back and graduating from Minnesota. You got that degree. I think you said 1 degree to go, one down, 1 to go.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, your goals there, and what you're looking to do, and why that was so important for you.
So when I first was talking to Nebraska, they said that I needed 25 credits left for one of my degrees in order for me to come and transfer in the spring. But I only had 10 more left for my business and marketing education degree. So I just really wanted to make sure that my school and academic side was really important for me, just because I can only play volleyball for so long, but I still have my education that I can lean on when I'm done with volleyball if I need to. So only with those 10 credits, I was like, you know what, let me see if it's okay with Nebraska if I stay in the spring semester to finish off my degree. And they said it was completely okay. They'd rather me focus on school than having to push myself to do additional credits or anything if I were to come in the spring. So I'm very grateful for their patience, and I'm really glad that I got my degree, just because now I'm going to be able to have 2 degrees from 2 different high-level universities. So now I'm going to be graduating here with graphic design, and I just cannot wait.
Wow. So why those 2 degrees that you wanted to explore?
So the graphic design kind of came from my mom. So when I was young, she was an interior designer. And so sometimes I would go to her openings and I would see her kind of play with different color palettes and the paintings and the furniture that she would put together. And I just thought, wow, this is such a cool career, just because you're doing something that you love, but also it's a very art heavy type of field. So I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a different kind of design that I can do that's not interior, because interior wasn't really my vibe, but I really like graphic design and like the drawing aspect and photography. And so I wanted to see if that was another field that I can potentially go to when I got to college. And so that opportunity presented itself when I was at Minnesota. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, I might as well just try. And I did. And I got into the school. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. What a cool career. And then when it comes to business, I feel like there's so many different things that I can do with business. So just being able to have that kind of in my back pocket if graphic design doesn't necessarily work out the way I want it to would be 2 kind of perfect degrees that I can kind of go for.
That's fascinating. Seems like you're just maybe interested in a lot of different things.
I really am, yeah. I just think that there's so many different things that I can do with graphic design just because it's such a broad field and there's so many different people kind of looking for graphic designers right now. So if I wanted to do something that has to do with like the computer or photography or even with a pencil, I still have all of that I've learned throughout the graphic design college journey that I've had so far.
Very cool. Well, okay, it's you guys will have preseason starting before you know it. What are your goals? How are you approaching going into your first preseason with the Huskers here starting in a couple weeks?
I'm very excited. I'm really just looking to kind of, like I said before, get better at a lot of the different skills that I want to get better at, but then also get to know my teammates more and just really build those personal relationships because trust is a really big thing for me when it comes to playing with my team. And I feel like I built that when I was at Minnesota, especially with my coaches and the players that I played with. So I just want to keep building upon that. And then also just getting into work with the coaches and just like really taking in all the information that they give me and learning the most that I can during this preseason so we can just jump into the big and just start rolling.
How do you feel like this team has gone about, because they've talked a lot about just rebuilding the culture, and yes, that last year was last year, and they're not.
Right.
It's not the same team. There's some new faces, So you're working on that again. But how do you feel like the team is coming together so far now that you guys have all now been here and started to really been able to spend some time together?
I think it's been really good so far. I think that I'm understanding a lot of the different personality types on the team and kind of how each person rolls as we go through lift and open gym. So I'm excited to keep building upon that, and then just also, when it comes to like the bigger moments and everything like that during season, I'm excited to see how people react and the ways that I can help other people because I really want to get into the space where I'm always there for someone, regardless of if I'm doing my own kind of thing and I need my own support. I also want to be there for my teammates and make sure that, hey, if you need an ear to listen to, I'm here for you. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm right by your side just because we're in it together and we're all going to go through different things. And so I just want to make sure that we're all on the exact same page that if somebody needs something, I'm going to be there for them.
Oh, that's great. Olympics coming up. You excited for the Olympics?
Yes, I cannot wait to start watching them.
So I'm assuming you like watching the volleyball.
Yes.
What's your second favorite sport to watch?
I like gymnastics.
Okay,
I
do too.
really, really like. Because my sister was a gymnast when she was young.
Oh, nice.
So it's so cool. And also, I wish I could flip like that. It'd be so cool. Yeah.
Is that motivating for you when it comes to your like, hey, maybe that's something I can work towards?
Yeah, I think so, especially with Jordan and just being able to see her journey and talk to her about it and watching so many videos and seeing her on social media. I just think it's a really big goal that I aspire to kind of get to at some point. So just always watching, taking the feedback, watching them, like watching a bunch of video on them, and then also just talking about it with my teammates and the coaches. I just think that it'd be so cool if I got to be at that point someday.
How inspiring is it to know, hey, look at Jordan Larson, and then, hey, you're going to be in the gym with her and be able to learn from her?
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Like throughout this whole process, we've been talking about it and sending video and messages and a bunch of different feedback back and forth to each other. So I just think that we've already had that relationship kind of started right now. So just being able to watch her and then keep going as we go throughout season is going to be something super, super special.
How impressive is what she's been able to do in her career? And I mean, we thought the last Olympics she was going to be done, but here she is making another Olympic team as they go try to defend the gold. But the longevity of her career and still maintaining being one of the best in the world, how impressive is that?
I think it's super impressive, and also it just kind of shows her mentality, her work ethic, the way that she's training. She takes nutrition super seriously and hydration and making sure that she just keeps her body where it needs to be in order for her to play this long. And it's honestly something that I'm really working on right now just because I want to be able to play as long as I can, and just being able to see her be able to do all these different things that she's done throughout her whole career and then still being able to go right now, and she's in the Olympics right now. It's just unreal what you can do at somebody's age like that, and just like keep working, keep pushing yourself, keep training. It just shows like there's really no limit if you don't think that there is a limit.
I love that. Well, last thing I got, I mean, you've ran out into Devaney multiple times before, but have you thought about what it's going to be like here when you got the red-white scrimmage and you're going to be able to be in front of Husker Nation for the first time?
I honestly have, especially during camps. We have these big videos that show up on the board, and it shows the girls running out from the locker room, and I just think it's going to be a dream, honestly. Just being able to run out in my red and white jersey and just being able to represent Nebraska with the big N on my chest. I just can't wait. Like, I just keep thinking about it. I'm just like, it's almost time. And once that time comes, I'm going to soak up every single moment of it because is going to be something I've never been able to experience before. I always dream about it, but just being able to actually be in the moment is going to be unreal.
Oh, that's incredible. Taylor Landfair, thank you so much for your time. Just a fascinating conversation. Welcome to Lincoln, and we're excited to see you in a Husker uniform.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Again, that is Taylor Landfair with Nebraska women's volleyball, one of the newcomers added to the roster this season as a part of our newcomer series. This conversation has been brought to you by Emeritus. Emeritus is proud to power this podcast and all of Husker women's sports. Thanks for listening and watching. As always, make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss an episode right here on the Huskers Radio Network podcast.